we are again, it's Bonnie, and I'm going to show you a couple of fancy things that you can do on your loom. So I've gathered some supplies that we're going to work with. I have a knitting needle here, it's a double point knitting needle. You can also use just any kind of stick for the thing we're going to do with that. I went outside into my yard and got some sticks to weave with. I found a little dried flower that we can weave with. I've got some beads that will work with those. And I've got a little picture of a muskox there. We're going to play with that. And then just some tissue paper. So a couple different things we're going to do. So the first one I'm going to teach you is called a pile loop. And all that means is that we're going to put little loops onto the surface of our weaving. So I just put one pass of yarn through the loom, but I left myself a little extra space on the end. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this knitting needle and I'm going to pick up every loop between the threads. So the ones that are, the loops are kind of sticking up on top of this light green. And I'm just going in with the knitting needle and grabbing those. And you can see why I left that extra loop. It's already pulled tight there. I'm also allowing yarn to pull in from my tail end on the other side. Okay, I think I got one more little one to pick up. So you can see I could even have left myself a larger loop on that end and it would have all gotten taken up. So I've got my knitting needle through around all of those loops. Smooth down that little bit there. Now I'm just gonna leave it there. And I'm gonna leave it there while I go to my next shed and pass through. Whoops, sorry, that was the wrong one. It should have been a down shed. I can tell because this end would have unraveled if I had passed through there. So we're gonna go to the down shed, pass the yarn through, beat it down. You've probably noticed by now that I'm making a lot of mistakes. That happens when you weave and it's completely okay. It's easy enough to go back to where you were and go the other direction. So I'm taking about 3 or 4 times through and each pass is just heddle up on one pass, heddle down on the next pass, heddle up, heddle down. And every time I'm passing close to the heddle there so that I can take advantage of the biggest part of that triangle, which is called the shed. Okay, I've got 4 picks or 4 strands of yarn over the top of this knitting needle now. I'm just gonna take the needle and pull it out. And look what I'm left with is these fun little loops that are just kind of locked in there that stay on the yarn that give it texture. So that's one fun thing you can do. The next fun thing we're gonna try is putting things besides yarn into there. So, keeping track, I'm on a down shed now. I'm gonna use these little sticks and put those in. And you pack them in just as if they were yarn, right? And now I'm going to an up shed, put another little stick through, pack it down just like it was yarn. And you can see really easily with sticks how the weaving works and why weaving doesn't fall apart, because the yarn goes over, under both directions and just kind of locks those sticks in. So that's what it looks like with sticks in your yarn. So on the next pass, I'm gonna try to put this cool little dried flower in there. Now I gotta be kind of careful, so I need a really big shed. I'm gonna let's put the stem side in first. And then I'm gonna pick a spot that I want this flower to come through. Let's say I want it to come through that spot right there. I'll just use my fingers to make sure it comes through in the spot that I want it in. Now here I gotta be gentle because I've got that fragile little flower. But if I just pack it in, now if I pull on it, that flower is stuck in there. That's part of my weaving, that's part of my art. So that's another fun thing that you can do. Okay, so that's the flower. Now I want to show you another thing. I've got some crazy strands. These are individual strands of yarn and I've cut them. They're all loose. They're all the same length. They don't have to be, but they can be. They are in this case. And I'm going to put them all through in one shed. So I'm in a down shed now. I'm going to pass through. I'm just going to go ahead and stick my fingers in there and bring all of these strands of yarn in at the same time. And you see how that kind of creates more strands in the surface, but it creates this kind of hairy, dangly part outside. That can be a really artistic effect and something that you can have fun with. All right, I need to give myself a little bit of space, so I'm gonna pull on my warp to bring it a little farther down before I try the next little crazy thing. Okay, my next crazy thing I want to show you is weaving with paper. So this is just tissue paper from holiday presents or birthday presents. And what I'm going to do, I've cut it into one continuous strip. And I'm just taking it on my finger and twisting it a little bit and crunching it a little bit so that it's a little bit tougher and easier to handle. So I'm just going to twist that around, make it a little bit easier to handle. Let's go back to the loom. Remember which shed we're in. This one was down, so this one's going to be up. And I'm just going to take this little piece of paper and move it right through. Just like everything else, you're going to press it into place. And now we're going to go to the up shed and bring more of this paper through the other side. Okay, oh, you can see I've got this long tail of paper now, right? And press it into place. And again, between each pass, you're just twisting it a little bit so that it's a little bit easier to handle and a little bit less likely to break on you. You can press that into place. And now we're on an up shed. And bring it across. And you notice when I'm going into the shed with my fingers to reach for something, I'm being gentle, but yarn is pretty tough. You can stick your fingers in there and you put sticks in it and put all kinds of crazy stuff in it, and it's really not going to break. So there's my little paper weaving. That's another example of something fun you can do. So if you can weave with paper, you can also weave with pictures. I'm going to take this little muskox picture that I've got, and I'm going to cut it into strips. Okay. Oh, I got my muskox disarranged there. Okay. So I'm going to take the bottom strip first. Figure out which shed I'm in. I'm in a down shed. Oh, get the box where back where you can see it. Now I'm just going to slide this little piece of paper right in there and mush it into place. Next one's an up shed. I go with my next bit of muskox picture. Put that in. Put that back where you can see that. And mush them into place. And you can see, I'm going to need more space again now, but you can see pretty quickly how we're going to get this whole picture of this kind of cool looking muskox into our weaving. So it's another way that you can just be creative and have fun with your weaving. And our last little bit of muskox here. You can see I really need space now. And there we go. And we've got, and I can arrange my little muskox so her horns are in the right place, but there's my little picture right in my weaving. So running out of space again. So I got to advance my loom a little bit. And again, I'm doing it by just pulling on this side, being careful of where I've got the sticks and flour coming through. I don't want to mush those too badly. Now, you notice that my knot over here is kind of on this side. So let's deal with that. All that has to happen there is you just slide the knot back on the thread, but that made it loose. So on the bottom side, all I'm going to do is slide this part forward to catch it again. And I've got a nice tight loom, and I'm ready to keep weaving.